What's up guys, Kevin Cage here with another crypto update. In today's video, we're going to dive into Hedera Hashgraph and the native token HBAR, and specifically the new Masara report, State of Hedera Q1. So I know we've gone through the previous report, we are waiting for the next one, so great to see, and we're going to dive into some important information in this. So in general, for price action for the majority of assets, price action is just super boring right now, but there's plenty of developments and a lot of building going on. So the market isn't the most fun right now, especially during the week of my birthday. I am losing my voice a bit, but let's kick it off and dive into some good info. Alright, first up, on CoinMarketCap, we can see the total crypto market cap is 2.3 trillion, still below the previous 2021 all-time high of 3 trillion. The market's been down since Bitcoin pulled back from creating an all-time high price just shy of 74K. As we scroll down, we can see where HBAR is ranked per market cap, and it's currently ranked at number 25. When we check out sentiment, looking at the screener of development activity for all of the assets, Hedera, when you rank it by 30-day development activity, is ranked number 4 out of every single asset, which is pretty good. And when we visit realtps.net to see the transactions per second, Hedera is ranked number 1 above every other chain. And when we visit HederaTransactions.com, we can see that Hedera's mainnet has officially surpassed over 50 billion transactions. So overall, we're seeing mainnet activity, which is a good thing. I know that sentiment isn't the highest in crypto right now, and the bulk of these transactions are HCS or Hedera's consensus service. So Hedera's mainnet has billions of transactions, which is great to see activity, but the question is, knowing that Hedera's consensus service, it only requires a very small portion of HBAR, how many transactions do we need to see? What levels of volume do we need to see to actually drive demand to HBAR and ideally push the price up? We know Hedera has activity on its mainnet. It has plenty of council members and some global companies and applications like Atma.io. So if anybody has recent updates on the progress of this application, please let me know. And it's using Hedera's Hashgraph or its consensus service, assigning unique digital IDs to everyday items, providing end-to-end transparency, tracking, storing, and managing all of the events associated with each product. So we've gone through this before, leveraging Hedera's consensus service on the public mainnet, which is good. And I'm in crypto because I believe that utility at scale will be huge drivers of demand for different projects that end up being successful. But the crazy thing to think about is that we're still in the experimental phase for a variety of applications. We have global companies, Deutsche Telekom, global fund managers, we have IBM, DBS Bank, largest bank in Singapore based on AUM, Dell, etc. And they're large companies, but we need to see a winning application. We haven't seen that first global winning application on Solana, Avalanche, Hedera, Polkadot, Ethereum, etc. We haven't seen true enterprise-grade utility. And just like Mark Cuban has said, I know he owns crypto and he's paying attention, but it's just missing that application that grandma really wants to use. Crypto is still waiting for its Instagram moment. These markets occur in cycles, and even 2022 was a terrible year for crypto, for the industry in terms of regulation, black swans, all types of things. And overall, the market, institutions, and retail investors, we're not going to forget about that. Sure, another cycle, a big bull run will change everybody's mind, but it's going to take a while to develop that trust again. So just like Cuban says right here, what crypto needs in order to go mainstream, think back to the iPhone. It came out in 2007, but it wasn't until the best apps like Instagram, Snapchat, and Facebook all went mobile that the App Store in the iPhone really took off. Now, could it just take one piece of news or one big application to completely change the game and send prices up for any successful network? Yes. And there have been assets that got a lot of attention and adoption like Render, and there's that flywheel effect, so yes. And at least for HBAR, I know from its cycle low in 2020 of January to its all-time high, it did over a 60x, but this big move right here wasn't until after Bitcoin was already running into all-time highs. This whole move with this purple box. So that's at least what we witnessed last time. This whole move was only after Bitcoin was already pushing into all-time highs. And it was interesting, a couple weeks ago, we did get that wick up to 18 cents during the BlackRock news. It did come back down, and I know we've had these weekly fair value gaps up for months. It just, didn't hit throughout the bear market, so just twiddling my thumbs. But just want to show you a good example of it actually closing this wick perfectly. That weekly gap or this sell-side imbalance, it did fill that perfectly. So there are others we've shared, they weren't very clean, but this is a really good example. So right now, we are still above the 10 cent area. Ideally, I would just like to stay above, consolidate, and draw higher finally for HBAR. Some of these ranges and accumulation that we've seen have just lasted a really long time. As they say, the longer the base, the higher in space. So we're going to see how HBAR manages on top of this level. I would like to stay above these previous lows that we had and make our way higher, but this is going to be dependent on liquidity, new users, and just volume rotating into HBAR. The circulating supply has increased, so this is very different than last bull run, looking at that circulating supply at the time, even at its all-time high price. But relative to other assets, specifically Cardano in the top 10, HBAR with success easily has the potential to be a top 10 asset in the future, ideally reaching very high market caps like we've seen other L1s in the top 10 and top 20 do in the past cycle. So if HBAR reached its previous all-time high market cap, considering its circulating supply today, that's around 19.5 cents. Of course, those numbers get really high if you're entertaining any valuations like Cardano, Doge, Solana reached last cycle. So of course, not financial advice and always your own research, but I personally believe that HBAR should be a top 10 asset due to the number of transactions on its mainnet, its development activity, the caliber of partners they have, and there are other assets that speculatively win volume or just trading bots or however these algorithms work each cycle. When volume flows into the market, some of these absolutely rocketed. And yeah, some of these projects had good development activity and a strong community, but there were no huge or winning applications. And when I mean winning applications, I don't mean one that's just used widely during a bull run or in the NFT marketplace. I'm referring to something that can be tried and true and used long term by enterprises. So anyways, let's dive into some recent news. This was at the Open Source Summit in North America a couple weeks back, uploaded by the Linux Foundation. So they're absolutely massive, tied to a bunch of organizations. We can see a keynote that was delivered by Hedera, both Andrew Aitken and Dr. Lehman Baird. So Andrew Aitken is the Chief Open Source Officer. I think it's really important for those that are actually holding HBAR and interested in its long-term success to watch all of these keynotes and any long-form videos directly from the team or people building, because it's really important to understand that. I know as retail investors, we're investing into a casino, we're mad when prices don't go up, but just listening to different keynotes or even outside of it, discussing the decentralized key recovery and things that they're building to actually push blockchain ahead, SDKs that need to be developed, documentation and libraries filled with information. Even hearing about regulation in all of these jurisdictions and lawsuits, like my head is spinning on a daily basis. There's just so many considerations. Governance, security, decentralization, etc. But anyways, let's run through this Messari report and a few interesting bullet points. I love this type of report. I know that some other projects that are relatively new or simply don't have the activity can't provide this level of transparency and just seeing the numbers, which I think is really good. So these numbers are solely for Q1 of this year, January, February, and March. The average daily active addresses increased by 154%. So keep in mind these numbers might be good because we did see Bitcoin in January get approved for the spot Bitcoin ETF, and Bitcoin in Q1 performed very well, and this also brought a lot more attention and excitement to altcoins. Average daily new addresses increased by 62%. We have DeFi total value locked and US dollar increased by 87%. The stablecoin market cap increased by 84%, and the average daily DEX or decentralized exchange volume increased by 154%. One thing to note is that HBAR circulating market cap increased 31% quarter over quarter to 3.8 billion. And Saucer Swaps total value locked grew from 60 million to 117 million, or 94% quarter over quarter, accounting for 98% of the network's total TVL. In January, the Hedera Governing Council allocated $535 million at Q1 end, so 4.86 billion HBAR, to enhance the Hedera network. This investment is intended to support various projects and initiatives within the Hedera ecosystem. So whenever us retail investors see any news of HBAR actually being used to enhance the network, some of it or all of it being sold, it can be a good thing or a bad thing. And I know there's drama in every single community regarding this, and even HBAR Foundation, just considering they did allocate over $400 million in funds, so 225 grants. I don't have all the ins and outs of their exact financing, if they're using it correctly, if some of these projects are struggling after 2022, or if they're actually really expanding and in a really strong position for the future. But we did see several new council members, so Hitachi, Australian Payments Plus, This Group International, and BitGo, which is a qualified custodian, joining the Hedera Governing Council. And other partnerships with the Digital Euro Association, Pith Network, Reality Plus, Momental, and others in Q1. Different Hedera improvement proposals, but let's actually look at the key metrics. So looking at the metrics, comparing all of the quarters in 2023 versus Q1 of 2024. The circulating market cap, this is the highest it's been. We can see circulating supply, this is also the highest it's been. We did see a steady increase, at least in 2023, of network revenue, so measured in US dollars, so 0.5 million to 0.8 million to 1 million to 1.6 million. However, last quarter was 1.1 million, so still over a million. Average daily transactions weren't as high as Q4 2023, but still a fair amount, over 90 million. We can see average daily active addresses and see the increase here, the fluctuations, and this is the highest we saw last quarter, which is good. But the big numbers versus all of 2023 are in the ecosystem tab. So DeFi TVL, essentially 30 million, 20 million, 30 million, 63 million, and last quarter was the highest at 119 million. The DEX volume went up massively since 2023, under a million, 0.4 million, 0.5 million. Here, 1.3 million, we ended at 6.4 million, so significantly higher than all of 2023. And with that, the stablecoin market cap, rather than being almost 7 million, 3.5 million, 6 million, we reached 11.6 million, so some steady growth there. So at least we can see the network revenue right here, just over a million, and the revenue in HBAR about 12.3 million. We can see that Hedera's consensus service accounted for 74% of Q1 revenue right there. So we can see the consensus service, the token service, the smart contract service, the crypto service, and other. So they explain the supply dynamics of HBAR, the native token, as a utility token used for a variety of things in the network, like paying the network gas fees, the Hedera network service fees, delegating to validators, and securing the network. There's no burn mechanism and there's a max finite supply for HBAR, but it's hard to conceptualize an actual model to kind of imagine the valuation. And of course, you can look in depth at the distribution of HBAR that occurs quarterly, and it's reported in the Hedera Treasury Management Report. So overall, some really good metrics in this report, but what do I want to see in general for Hedera and virtually every single asset is new users. I want to see new users flood into the market, and we haven't had that moment like last cycle. And with new users of global crypto users at 400 or 500 million, going to a billion users would be a big deal. The daily active addresses would increase, the number of transactions, volume, etc. They go over Hedera's EVM strategy, helping average daily active contract growth, discussing decentralization and security, and some people don't like the concept of an enterprise DAO with some of the world's biggest companies because it reminds us of the centralization that we have today, but I think this is a good way to basically get the traditional folks into crypto and let them have some level of control and governance. I'm here for enterprise application. So every network has their own view of decentralization, how governance should be done, and securing the network, and we don't know which ones are going to be the winning applications or networks that get the fastest level or best level of adoption. So there's a lot of information in this report. If you hold HBAR, I think it's a really good idea to at least scan through this, and just saying that DeFi TVL and DeFi in general grow on Hedera as an L1 is a really good thing. It's still early days, but people that use it just see how cheap it is versus Ethereum and even other chains. The process is just seamless. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Huge thanks to all that hit the like button, and I will catch you in the next one. If you enjoyed this video, I'd greatly appreciate if you could hit the like button, let me know your thoughts down below, and my link tree is linked in the top of this YouTube video description, with all links, crypto resources, and discounts. I'll catch you in the next one.